Welcome back to the Cumbie Show. We tell like it is. We don't care how you feel. And we got some breaking news out of the SEC. The SEC has just dropped their 3 annual opponents. We've known this is coming for quite some time. Obviously, the SEC is moving to a 9-conference game schedule, finally getting rid of that 8-conference game schedule, moving to the 9-conference game. They're moving to the 3-6-6 model. What that means that every SEC team is going to have 3 permanent opponents that they play every year. Those are not changing. For the additional 12 teams, they're going to rotate those teams every other year. So first year, they'll play the first, year 1, they'll play the first 6. Year 2, they'll play the other 6 teams. Year 3, they'll play the first 6 teams again. And then in year 4, they'll play the other 6 teams again. So essentially what that means, every SEC team is going to play every other SEC team, both home and away, in a 4-year span. So we're going to get away from the situation that we've been seeing, and I'm going to call Georgia out here as a Georgia fan. I'm going to call him out. We're going to get away from these situations where we have 2 teams going 5, 10, 13 years before traveling on the road to play one another. Georgia has not been to College Station to play Texas A&M since they joined the conference. Texas A&M joined the conference in 2012. Georgia has yet to be there to play them. Dumb. Don't know how. Alabama has yet to travel to, well, not yet. They haven't been to Athens since 2015 to play the Dogs. They do come to Athens this year to play Georgia. They'll be this weekend. It's going to be a good game. But they haven't been to Athens since 2015. That's a 10-year span. Dumb. I don't understand how you could call yourself a conference rival if you don't play one another for 10 years. So I'm finally excited that this is actually happening. I think it's long overdue, especially with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma. This was much needed. I don't see how you didn't go to 9 conference games. If the SEC, for whatever, stated 8 conference games, I would have been very irritated. So I'm excited that this is finally happening. There's a lot of information we still don't know yet. Like, we don't know when these games are exactly going to be played. What games are going to be played in the beginning of the season, the middle of the season, or at the end of the season. Obviously, there's still some games that you can just about guarantee when they are going to happen. Like, for example, which is the best example, Alabama's playing Auburn, the Iron Bowl. That game's not going away. That game has got to stay at the end of the season. If that game is not at the end of the regular season every year, excuse me, there's going to be some riots in college football. Not just between Alabama and Auburn fans, but SEC fans as a whole. That game has got to stay at the end of the year. The Alabama-Tennessee game, 3rd Saturday in October, that's got to stay, in my opinion. It's a good time for that. Traditional. The Georgia-Florida game. That game's played at the end of October, early November, right in the middle of the season, basically the half point of the season. As a Georgia fan, I absolutely love that time of the year. I think that game is perfect. I would like to see that game stay at that time. So, essentially, we don't know when these games are going to be played. I think there's a good chance, we can know that when some teams are going to play, but we don't officially know. Another thing that they said that we also don't know is that they said they're going to reevaluate this in 4 years. So what does that mean? I have no idea. Does that mean that after 4 years they're going to change these rivals? They're going to rotate the opponents? I hope not, because that's the whole point of having a rival, is you play them every year. So if you're constantly changing these rivals every 4 years, well, that's not really a rival. That's not going to help strengthen that rivalry between these 2 teams if they're constantly changing. So I hope that doesn't mean that they're going to change it. Maybe, if some teams kind of drop off and other teams pick up, they might look at that. But we don't know what that means when they say reevaluate in 4 years. I've also heard talks and rumors that, does that mean that they're going to be adding new teams to the SEC? I don't know. Obviously, the rumors of Clemson, FSU, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, heard rumors of them joining the SEC. Obviously, Notre Dame is an independent. We've heard talks and rumors of them joining the ACC. Does that stay true? Does the ACC dissolve altogether as a conference with all the issues they got going on, being sued by a bunch of different schools? So we essentially have no idea. Obviously, college football is always changing. I feel like there's so many changes within the past 10 years. So either way, there's still, what I'm saying is there's still a lot of information that we just don't know. They did say they'll reevaluate in 4 years. So I guess we'll have to wait 4 years to see. Let's jump into it. And, I've got the list here of all the annual opponents. I'll start off by saying some of these, I think they did a bang-up job. Absolutely perfect. Couldn't have asked for better. And then some of these I'm a little disappointed in matchups that we did not get. So let me run through them. I'll try and read through them as quick as possible. But we'll start out here with Alabama. Alabama's 3 annual opponents are going to be Auburn, Tennessee, Mississippi State. Arkansas has got Mizzou, Texas, LSU. Auburn has got Alabama, Georgia, Vandy. Florida has got Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky. Georgia has got Auburn, Florida, South Carolina. Kentucky has got Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina. LSU has got Arkansas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Mississippi State has got Ole Miss, Vandy, Alabama. Mizzou has got Arkansas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. Oklahoma has got Mizzou, Ole Miss, Texas. Ole Miss has got Mississippi State, LSU, Oklahoma. South Carolina has got Georgia, Florida, Kentucky. Tennessee has got Alabama, Kentucky, Vandy. Texas has got Texas A&M, Arkansas, Oklahoma. Texas A&M has got LSU, Mizzou, Texas. And then last but certainly not least, Vandy has got Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. So that is everyone's 3 annual opponents. Obviously, like I said, I think some of these are absolutely perfect. We'll start with Georgia just because I am a Georgia fan. I think Georgia's 3 annual opponents are about as good as you can get. Obviously, the Georgia-Florida game, that one was not going anywhere. You keep that. The Georgia-Auburn game, I'm glad we were able to keep that. When, as a Georgia fan, I was very concerned for that rivalry when we first learned that Texas and Oklahoma were going to be joining the conference. There was a lot of talks of the schedule changing. Did we stay at 8 conference games? Did we move to 9 conference games? What model did we want to use? There's potential for big matchups to just completely go away. So I was real worried that the Georgia-Auburn game, that Georgia-Auburn rivalry was on the chopping block. Glad we were able to keep that. And then obviously Georgia's 3rd annual opponent is South Carolina. I think that's probably the best one you could have picked. Could you have swapped it out for Kentucky? Yeah, I could see that. Tennessee even, I could see that as well. That has become a big rivalry game. Georgia-Tennessee has always been a big rivalry game. But I think that's about as perfect as you can get for Georgia, especially considering South Carolina. I do think that South Carolina's biggest rivalry in the SEC, this is SEC only. Obviously, South Carolina's biggest rival is Clemson. But in the SEC, it's Georgia. So you got to give them that. So I think Georgia's annual opponents are really good. Texas, I think, is just as good as you can get. Obviously, you got the Texas-Oklahoma game. That's not going anywhere. You get the Texas-Arkansas game. That's a good rivalry game. And then you also get the Texas A&M game. If Texas joined the SEC and they did not play Texas A&M every single year, what the hell are we doing? That would have been the dumbest idea ever. So glad that stays. I would have been completely shocked if we did not have that. Oklahoma is another good one. Obviously, like I said, they play Texas. They get Ole Miss and Mizzou. I think Oklahoma is another good matchup. Texas A&M is a good matchup. I do like the LSU Texas game. Mizzou game, I guess. My gripe with Mizzou is I've never viewed them as an SEC team. No hate to Mizzou. I just never really viewed them as an SEC team. So, to me, it was kind of hard finding them rival opponents in the SEC. So, but either way, obviously, you get other games like I mentioned, the Alabama-Auburn game, the Iron Bowl, that one was not going anywhere. The Alabama-Tennessee game, that one was not going anywhere. LSU-Ole Miss is another good one that's not going anywhere. I mean, hell, even Texas and Vandy. Granted, Vandy has not been some big powerhouse the last few years, over the last decade. Now, this year in the past season, Vandy has looked really good, but, that's still an annual game that's fun to watch. So, you got a lot of these really good games sprinkled throughout that I'm really excited. The one thing, my biggest issue with all of this, my biggest disappointment in this is that please tell me how in the hell did LSU not end up playing Florida or Alabama for one of the three annual opponents? How? That's two of LSU's biggest games every single year is the LSU Florida game and LSU Bama game. How do they not play either of those teams? I lived in Florida for 13 years. I live in Georgia now, but I lived in Florida for 13 years. I've got a lot of buddies that are big Gator fans. Love the Gators. They're going through it right now. But big Gator fans. I used to watch that game with them every single season. And it was fun. I love watching the LSU Florida game. The shoe throw game, Florida has been on the downhill since then. But still, the point being is like that to me, I'm disappointed in that. I'm disappointed we don't get LSU, Alabama every year. I'm disappointed we don't get Florida and Tennessee every year. That's another big game, especially when we had the divisions, the East and the West. Also, we've done away from that. But the Tennessee-Florida game was one of the biggest games in the SEC back in the day, just 4 years ago, 2 years ago. Now they're not going to play it every year. So I'm a little disappointed in that. So there's some of these games that I am disappointed in that we're not going to get. Obviously, every team only has three permanent opponents. So they can't play everyone. So there was bound to be some matchups that we weren't going to get that some fans were going to be disappointed. I'm sure there's a big matchup that I'm just overlooking right now that some of you in the comments are saying, I can't believe we don't have this. I can't believe we're not seeing that. So obviously, there were going to be some matchups that we just weren't going to get. They can only do so much with only having three permanent opponents. And I think for the most part, they did a really good job overall. I think this is going to do nothing but benefit the SEC. It brings the fans, which is the most important part, because without the fans, we would not have college football, plain and simple. It brings the fans more exciting games, plain and simple. Instead of turning on the TV and watching Georgia play Austin Peay or Alabama play Troy or Florida play Charlton, whoever the case may be, you get to turn on, you get to watch an extra SEC conference game. You get to turn on the TV and watch Oklahoma play Auburn. You get to turn on the TV and watch Florida play Texas A&M, or Alabama play South Carolina, or Ole Miss play Georgia, or you get my point. Like, you're going to get more great matchups, which I'm super excited. Like I said, I only think it benefits the SEC. I thought we should have moved to 9 conference games forever ago. I did not like I'm not saying I didn't like the 8 conference game schedule. I didn't like the excuses that people gave to stay to an 8 conference game schedule, because I thought they were just that, excuses. So I'm super excited that we're moving to this. As mentioned before, there's a lot of information we don't know that has yet to come out that we will find out in the coming weeks and months and years and all that good stuff. So let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Are y'all excited for your 3 annual opponents? Are you ticked off? Would you want to see something different? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you absolutely hate the 9 conference game schedule altogether? Do you think we should have went with a different model? Whatever the case may be, let me know. But I'm super excited for this. I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to watch. Other than that, over and out.